Hello everyone and welcome back guys to round 7 of season 2 of the F1 2019 HAAS Road to Glory career. And a bit of an apology before we jump into this one, as you might be able to tell in my voice, I'm not feeling all too well at the moment, but as I'm sure you guys are well aware, the show must go on. So yeah, a bit of an apology, you know, I've sort of got a cold and everything like that, so I probably can't sound as energetic as I'd like to. But yeah, the show must go on as we head into round 7 of the season here in Canada. 3 more upgrades on the car, and that is looking like a very interesting mix of weather conditions for this weekend's Grand Prix. But hopefully, you know, we can continue, you know, hopefully in the points, like obviously we were able to get last time out. If you missed out on the Monaco Grand Prix last time out, make sure you do go back and check that video out. There will be a link to both that video, last year's Canadian Grand Prix, as well as the full playlist from this series so far down in the comments. But as you can see, so far this season we have made good progress. Mad jump by Renault heading into last weekend's Grand Prix. I hadn't even noticed that heading between Spain and Monaco. They jumped from 3rd or 4th best now right up to the top. And well, you can see Renault and Racing Point clear of Mercedes, Ferrari and Red Bull now at the top. So very interesting here that we're still seeing mainly Ferrari and Mercedes race victors in this series. But yeah, coming on though into this weekend, the aim is just trying to get more and more upgrades on this car, build up those R&D points. We are certainly making some good progress now. Obviously you guys are well aware as well, you know, this is being done on the new patch. I don't know if anything's actually been altered with the AI progression. Hopefully it has been, but as you can see, just doing a quick little comparison between all 3 of the departments. Not much work needs to really be done on the engine and the chassis now. We only really need sort of 3-4 upgrades to really sort of catch back up with everyone else. The aerodynamics is starting to look like, relative to a lot of the other AI, a bit weaker, but still, you know, we've applied a lot of upgrades on there as well. So we're sort of in a bit of a weird window at the moment where we just need to try and get some upgrades on pretty much everywhere, but I really sort of want to try and focus on more of the major upgrades. But anyway, let's jump on then into the Canadian Grand Prix. Round 7 of the season. It's time.
Hello and welcome from the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, home to the Canadian Grand Prix for today's qualifying session. And I'm here, of course, with Anthony Davidson on what has turned out to be a very pleasant day indeed. No weather to interfere, no problems on the track, so absolutely no room for error.
That's right, Crofty. It's looking good out there at the moment. Each team will have their own game plan for this session, and of course, once the cars leave the garage, they'll be under parc fermé conditions, so any last-minute adjustments need to be done right here and now. Beyond that, it's all up to the driver. Who can keep their tyres in the right temperature? Who can hit their apexes? No race fuel on board these days, of course. These are the fastest cars we've had in a long time, and it's right here in qualifying where they're at their absolute peak. Let's get started.
So here we are then, ready for the Canadian Grand Prix, and quite looking forward to this one nonetheless, despite, you know, the issues that we had in last time out here's race. Obviously we had that contact with Romain Grosjean very early on, and yeah, unfortunately that really did kind of ruin our whole, you know, our whole race strategy and everything like that. But heading out of the final couple of corners in Q1, and we had only gone to P17 on my banker lap there. But, you know, like I always say, it is just a banker lap, and you can see as we head towards the end of Q1, we were a good 3 tenths up as we head down in towards the hairpin here, right towards the end of this lap. And when you get this place hooked up, it's so satisfying here at the Canadian Grand Prix circuit. And one of those tracks where the new patch probably doesn't make too much difference in the grand scheme of things, you know, just a little bit more consistency, everything like that in terms of the aerodynamics. As we head down in towards the final couple of corners, though, take as much curb as you can through the chicane, dink the wall on the way out there, and you can see as we head down towards the line, we're going to be about just under 4 tenths up there, and that will move us up into P13 with just half a minute to go at the end of the session there, and we would make it through to Q2 once again in this series. So I think we've, what now, 3 Q2 appearances in the last 4 Grand Prix. Really starting to build up a little bit of momentum there, and once again, it wasn't just like we scraped through. We were a good couple of tenths clear of Giovinazzi, Stroll, Grosjean, my teammate, and then obviously both Toro Rossos all not making it through into the second session there. But we are going to ride on board then for my Q2 lap here. You know, I don't think we're really going to be able to try and push up much more than this in qualifying. You know, just trying to get through to Q2 was probably, you know, really big bonus for ourselves as we head down in towards turn 1 and turn 2. And well, this place, as you guys are probably well aware, one of my strongest tracks, I'd say, in terms of raw paces. We take a lot of curb through the second chicane there on the entry as we head down in towards the end of Sector 1. About 5,000ths up already on Sergio Perez's lap time. You know, Sector 1 and Sector 3, we were fairly decent. Sector 2, really, really lacking pace. And honestly, you know, we made a bit of a mistake there as we head out onto the back straightaway, but not too sure why on the whole, as we ran a little bit wide over the curves through the second part, well, the second chicane, or fourth even chicane, I should say. There's too many to keep track of around this Canadian Grand Prix circuit there, as we now head down in towards the hairpin, now 1.1 off Sergio Perez, so yeah, we dropped over a second in that middle sector, and I'm really not too sure how overall, but as we head now down, obviously activating the DRS once again as we head down in towards the final couple of corners of this lap time here. Are we going to be able to nail the final chicane as well? Once again, trying to take a lot of curb on the entry there. Really, really do get a good run right the way through. Down towards the line there. Where is it going to be? It's going to be a 1 minute 8.7 there at the end of the session. That would be good enough for P14. So, honestly, I'll take that one. Quite happy with that result at the end of qualifying there. You can see P14 on the grid, ready for the Canadian Grand Prix. 3 of the British drivers that are going out in Q2. There might have been even 4. I was just trying to spot where. There's Lando Norris, sorry, all the way up in P8 there. But yeah, still nearly 2 seconds quicker than our Season 1 lap time as well. That I will certainly take that one. Quite surprised to see Lewis Hamilton dropping out as well with us there at the end of Q2 as well as obviously George Russell, Raikkonen and Carlos Sainz. But there we are then, guys. That is the grid for the Canadian Grand Prix. I'm excited for this one. Really want to try and, just like, you know, Monaco yesterday, I really want to try and rewrite the wrongs of last season. So hopefully, yeah, we can have a good, decent race here today. Points might be optimistic, but we, you know, like every race so far, we're certainly willing to give it our all. Let's jump on then to the Canadian Grand Prix.
We're back once again beside the St. Lawrence River here in Montreal for the Canadian Grand Prix. The event first moved to a variant of this track back in 1978. It was won by none other than Gilles Villeneuve, the first Canadian to ever win his home race, and in whose honour the circuit would be renamed. It's a tricky circuit to tackle in wet conditions, with top speed still of critical importance down the long back straight. There are 2.7 miles and 14 corners overall on a circuit that in the dry can see average lap speeds of around 130 miles per hour. We'll be lucky to get anywhere near that today. Anthony Davidson is here once again for today's Grand Prix. Can we begin by having a chat about Charles Leclerc? Looks like they've got a tough race in store today as grid penalties from changing power unit components has forced them further down the field.
But on the bright side, at least those fresh components can help them maintain the power they need to come through the pack. I expect to see them take a more aggressive approach today to make up for the compromised start.
It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. Pierre Gasly lines up on pole position with Sebastian Vettel starting alongside. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Perez, Verstappen, Valtteri Bottas, and Faber, Hülkenberg, Norris, Russell, and Lewis Hamilton. Leclerc, they've taken a grid penalty. Raikkonen, Mr. Monaco, and Sainz, Giovinazzi, Stroll, Devon Butler, and Roman Grosjean. Fiat and Alexander Albon picks up the last spot on the grid. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track.
You managed to qualify better than we expected yesterday, so let's do the same again today.
So here we are then, ready for the Canadian Grand Prix, and I must admit, really, really looking forward to this race. But changeable conditions, and for those of you that sort of kept up with the patch notes and everything going on with F1 2019, the AI in the wet have been rebalanced, and to cut a long story short, they are incredibly strong now, unfortunately, but we will gloss over that for now. We're ready for the Canadian Grand Prix. It's lights out and away we go. They're very, very quick getaway. Clearly people have got better things to be doing with their Sunday afternoons, and a very, very cautious starting towards them on the same can't be said for Antonio Giovinazzi there, as well as Devon Butler, all going for lunges through the first couple of corners. But I think we get a warning there for collision with Raikkonen, but really just trying to take evasive action as they go 3 wide on the exit of turn 1 there. And well, we've still lost out on 1 place off the start. Trying to get up the inside of Charles Leclerc, and a bit of contact made between the pairs, rubbing his race and all of that as we try to get the drive on the exit of the corner there. And now we move ourselves up into P13, up the inside of Giovinazzi as well. They just couldn't slot in behind, so we may as well try and go for a move. And now up into P12 of the Grand Prix. So we made a good, decent start there to this Canadian Grand Prix there. And yeah, really, really happy with that one. That, you know, we've kept it clean. We've actually survived the opening lap of this Grand Prix there. And horrendous, tricky, wet conditions here. And I must admit, I don't think I've done many. I think I've only done one race where it was even sort of like full wet conditions there. And obviously that was China just a few rounds ago. So make a huge mistake as we head through the fourth chicane of lap 2 there. And Charles Leclerc is going to be all over the back of me and, well, all around the outside of me and, well, looking like he's going to be all in front of me in just a moment. We try to keep the nose up the inside as we head through the hairpin there, and we do get the drive off the exit of the corner, but just dip that wheel on the grass and just so much wheel spin, and ultimately a Ferrari with a much more sophisticated power unit straight around the outside goes Charles Leclerc there. And yeah, that would drop us back down into P13 of this Grand Prix. Yeah, like I was saying, I don't think we've sort of raced in conditions, you know, the end of China was probably pushing up towards this, but nothing quite this bad so far in this series. And yeah, like I said, the AI, they have been altered quite drastically, quite worryingly, I'll be entirely honest with you. This is what needs to be fixed on F1 2019, you know. We went from the AI, where I was able to win a race with the HAAS in Season 1, and, you know, the car has got weaker in Season 2, there's no denying that, to now AI that are pretty much the opposite effect, you know. Say, for example, back then I was probably a net 1.5 to 2 seconds quicker than the AI, realistically, you know, to what I should have been. Now it's the other way around. The AI completely overpowered, and the only reason we were sort of in no man's land was the fact that Giovinazzi, you know, with that ridiculous dive at turn 1, you might have seen some debris going all over the place. That was Giovinazzi's front wing. So effectively what we were doing was just losing bags of time to Charles Leclerc in front. And whilst everyone else got stuck behind Giovinazzi, you can see now, as we head in towards about lap 7, lap 8, Carlos Sainz had broken free. But these guys were all just losing time, sat behind him as well. So it was a quiet start to this Grand Prix. As you can see by the end of lap 8, and we've basically got, what, I think 10 seconds to the car in front? Yeah, 9.5 seconds to Charles Leclerc in front, and a good sort of 5-6 to the AI behind. But we would slowly start to see some cars once again in this Grand Prix as we head towards the first pit stop window here, and we'd actually be moving over to a set of the intermediate compound tyres here at the first stops of the day. So everyone thinking, you know, was ready to make the switch. Now by the end of lap 11, you can see Valtteri Bottas in the Red Bull right around the outside of myself. You know, nothing we could really do. It was pretty even on the tyres, but everyone else had gone onto the Inter, so it just made sense to try and stick with the rest of the pack here. You know, it was a wet to dry race on the whole, so we may as well just try and keep it sensible, keep it normal and everything like that. So we would dive it into the pit lane on the end of lap 11 here. You can see we're going to drop down a couple of places. Potentially Carlos Sainz, I think, might get past me, as well as we head down in towards turn 1. He tried to pull out a bit of an undercut on myself there, and yeah, I think he is going to crack a good couple of seconds out in front of me there, so he's really been able to make that undercut work on myself as we come down towards turn 1 once again here, but already a third of the way through this Grand Prix, and it's certainly not been one in the way of action here, but it wouldn't take long before we were trying to close at the back to Carlos Sainz. And what I said about the wet conditions, the same can't really be said for the intermediate conditions, it appears. You know, we've still got a significant margin over the AI in the Inters, and we've seen sort of in the last couple of races, Carlos Sainz now able to sort of scrape a few points together for McLaren, with, you know, the recent bop and everything like that. We would, yeah, get back at the inside of him down in towards turn 1, but it's certainly, yeah, something the balancing just needs to be sorted a bit more again. You know, whatever they've done between the two different tweaks, they need to ideally sort of put it somewhere in the middle, because at the moment, don't get me wrong, it was fun in a sort of one-time thing to be ridiculously overpowered relative to the AI, but it just, yeah, it needs to be balanced ultimately at the end of the day. I know it's always much more difficult in the rain to try and get that sort of thing, because, you know, everyone's ability in the rain is much more varied, but yeah, it really does need to be fixed as well here. So yeah, this is a personal plea to coders about that, but yeah, all the way to lap 22 though, we just had nothing going on. George Russell was starting to have some issues here, hence why we were able to catch up to the back of the Williams man here as we head through the hairpin. Right around the outside we go there, and yeah, George, like I said, with those issues, nothing really he could do in this situation. But everyone opting now. It was looking like the tyres were starting to get a little bit worn out, and we were just trying to play the long game right the way through to the end of this Grand Prix. So we will be diving in once again at the end of... No, we're going to go one lap longer even in this Grand Prix here, just getting almost ready to go on to a set of, well, another set even, I should say, of the intermediate compound tyres. So we would move up a couple of places through the pit stop window there past Hamilton. And was there a Renault there as well? I'm not too sure. Someone else, I think. As well, there's, yeah, we went out of P11, but obviously it wouldn't last long, as we would be diving in a couple of laps later. But yeah, the team was saying the rain was meant to stop quite soon, and like sort of really debated just trying to stick out to the dry. But sometimes we see this obviously on the Formula 1 games as well. It gets the rain stops, but the track still remains very wet. So I was sort of wanting to try and make sure the Inters, if needed, could go through to the end of this Grand Prix. But we are kind of stepping into the unknown at this late stage of the day there, as we try to get the cars, started up once again here out of the pit lane, get almost clipping the outside pit wall there. That would have been quite embarrassing as we head down towards the one. We get 11 laps to go of this Grand Prix here, and we would obviously make up a few more places as the rest of the AI around me start to make their second stop of the day. But ultimately, I'm not really going to sugarcoat it. It was sadly, yeah, the AI just need to be patched. We went from being 2-3 seconds a lap slower to sort of about a second and a half a lap faster. And yeah, unfortunately, as you can just tell on the minimap, one of the Mercedes, that'll be Pierre Gasly romping away with it, and then just a huge chunk of AI that unfortunately we could get nowhere near. Lap 25 though, and well, the AI would all start to make the gamble onto a set of the dry compound tyres, even though it was still raining. I was quite surprised by that one. But once again, we're going to be a bit of a sheep in this race and just follow on with the rest of the field here. Get the car slowed down nice and tidy. A nice 2.3 second pit stop there. I'm definitely a lot more consistent now with the pit stops in this Grand Prix nonetheless. But coming out of the pit lane, 9 laps to go of this Grand Prix, and yeah, we were basically now into bring it home mode at the end of the day. No one that we really could close up to of the road here, and yeah, it was just try and bring home the P12 that we were currently sat in here. But that wouldn't quite be the end of the race. Lap 33, you can see yellow flags are out in the final couple of corners here, and I'm not too sure who is having issues. It appears to be one of the Force Indias, and it is going to be Sergio Perez, if I'm not mistaken here, having issues right at the end of this Grand Prix. And it was a bit gutting for Perez. He was running up in a podium. He built up a little bit of a margin over the Ferraris and everything like that. And yeah, 2 laps to go. Again, the second time in 3 races Sergio Perez has retired from a good solid points haul here. And yeah, really not his season so far. We've seen Hulkenberg win the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, and yeah, Perez is just not getting the rub of the green at the moment here. But as we head in towards the final lap though, oh yeah, a bit of an apology that this race just wasn't that exciting. But hopefully, you guys have sort of learnt something as well from this. This is probably a bit more of just a proof to Cody's as well that something needs to be altered with these AI at the end of the day there. And yeah, unfortunately, a really lonely race, and I can only apologise that a proper sort of early F1 2019 style race here we've had today. Nothing quite like Austria and Silverstone the last couple of weekends as well. But through the final corners though, it is going to be P11 at the end of the day. Smash the front wing there, lack of concentration out of the final corner. But yeah, apologies that it was quite a dead race on the whole. But that is F1 sometimes. P11 at the end of the day, gutted once again. We just miss out on the points there, but still happy with the pace and the consistency in the end.
That's it for another Grand Prix and a fantastic win for Mercedes. Anthony Davidson, how do you think they were able to set themselves apart today?
Well, time management probably played quite a large role in the outcome of this one. As ever, it's not just about speed, it's all about maintaining that speed consistently over a stint, over a race distance. So being able to keep up the lap times while still being smooth on the controls and gentle on the tyres, that's really where the race was won today.
After an excellent performance at the Grand Prix, I'm sure there'll be plenty of celebrations tonight amongst the Mercedes team, and they certainly deserve it. And after this round of the World Championship, Here's how things look in the drivers' table. Well, the gap at the top of the championship has been cut down after a difficult race today for our championship leader. After an incredible day of racing, who was your driver of the day, Ant?
Well, my driver of the day has to be Charles Leclerc. He was unstoppable out on the track today, weaving through the competition with ease.
It's time to check out the constructors' standings. Meanwhile, good work from Racing Point this weekend, who pushed themselves further up the order. I'm equal parts exhausted and elated with this weekend of Formula One. Be sure to join us for the next one.
Having a look then at the final race results, you can see Pierre Gasly wins his very first race in Formula 1 there. I'm sure he's really happy with that. Lando Norris as well scores his very first podium ahead of Sebastian Vettel, Charles Leclerc, Bottas, Hülkenberg, Verstappen, Weber. Hamilton comes through in P9 ahead of Devon Butler there. So after Seb's retirement last time out in Monaco, Hamilton really not able to capitalise here in Canada. 4 British drivers from P9 down to P12 at the end of the day there. We had Lando Norris's best of the British there. But Hamilton still has a 25-point lead now over his teammate Pierre Gasly there. So Mercedes, 1-2 in the Drivers' World Championship. 4 points clear of Sebastian Vettel. There was a further 8 ahead of Charles Leclerc. And then a 50-point drop-off to Hülkenberg. Devon Butler, Lando Norris now moves himself up past Weber and Max Verstappen, and then Sergio Perez as well. Bottas jumps George Russell there, and further down you got myself on 11, and then Carlos Sainz and Raikkonen, and then just Lance Stroll, Giovinazzi, Grosjean and the Toro Rosso still yet to score a point. In the Constructors though, Racing Point jump Renault now into 3rd place there. Very weird, they are the 2 best cars, but still 3rd and 4th in the Constructors' World Championship. But thank you all so much for watching this video. Like I said, a bit of an apology that it was a bit of a dead race, but I will hopefully see you guys tomorrow for the French Grand Prix.